As I sit here, indecisive, with probably over thousands of games in my Steam library, probably 90% of them a bunch of indie and unknown games, and the other 100 to 150 probably AAA titles worthy of my playtime. I sit here thinking, someday I gotta go back to the Dead Space series since I finally bought some DLC I probably shouldn't have bought for the third one, but you know me, gotta, get on that fast track to success and get some golden parts for my guns. Um, I was thinking to myself, I talked about a bunch of remakes here that are going to be coming out in the next several months, but one game I haven't talked about yet much is Dead Space. The Dead Space remake that's coming out. Oh, wait a minute. When the heck is that coming out, actually, now that I remember? Hmm. Ooh. Ooh, God, it's coming out a couple of months before Resident Evil 4. Hopefully, it could take some of the sales out of it. Because if there's one. Between the two of them, I hope Dead Space does a better job at succeeding. Because at least it looks like that one is doing a better job of staying true to the original, at least in terms of aesthetics and mood, as opposed to Resident Evil 4 with God knows what the more supernatural, spooky look it's going for. But, I was just thinking to myself, there's a couple things that I hope get added into Dead Space remake. And I know they confirmed, the zero gravity, that's gonna be more like Dead Space 2, and they're gonna be putting in some of the lore from the other games to help tie it up a little bit better, so you don't have to worry about having to consume that extra media. Even though I feel like it would still benefit players, check out Dead Space Extraction or Dead Space Aftermath, like a bunch of those, alternate forms of media. But I'm at least happy they're tying that shit in to make it a little bit more canon and organic with the main story. But yeah, I was just thinking there's a couple things I hope they add in to the Dead Space remake. One of them being is they add in the DLC from the console versions of the game, because to those that may have not played Dead Space on PC, they stuck with the console versions. The PC version's fantastic. As far as I'm concerned, I have no problems running it at all, albeit the physics are completely fucked because back then, they had no idea that the frame rates would be getting so high that, they tied they tied the physics to the frame rate. So if you have like 200 plus frame rate, the physics on the bodies are going to be fucked. Not to mention, if I heard correctly from the speedrunning communities about, is that if you have a higher FPS, Isaac actually walks slower, which is kind of fucking gnarly. But I hope they add in the DLC, because on the PC version, there's no DLC whatever. That shit's locked to the console version. So unless, you happen to find a good copy for it, and you find a PS3, your only options, explore some other emulation avenues online. But it'd be nice if they add in that DLC, even though it was like the earlier days of pay to win DLC cosmetics and whatnot. I did like having matching sets of weapons with the armor, and yes, to an extent, I kind of like the astronaut suit, even though it had an ugly ass fucking helmet. Kind of reminds me of my friend egging on the helmets in general for Dead Space, especially the advanced military suit, because he always said that it looked like a fucking can opener ran across it. And I'm like, fuck you. But yeah, I hope they add in the DLC because I think it'd be kind of cool. Obviously, I hope they don't charge for it. I hope it's just organically put in the game, wherever it'd be like a new game plus unlock, where it's just something you can buy as time goes on. But I feel like it'd be better if it was just, a new game plus add on, because if you had that shit unlockable from the start, it would definitely break the game. But yeah, just all of it. Now, in terms of like the console DLC, like the console exclusives, yeah, that's gonna be a little bit hard to replicate. I wouldn't be surprised if the PlayStation version made a glorious 4K return for the PS5 version, and maybe the Xbox version got a little bit of slack, and that one was available both for Xbox and PC users. So that means it could come to Steam, but to each their own on that. I just kind of. I'll confess it. I miss the overpowered weapons. I miss, making a pulse rifle do just as much damage as a fully upgraded plasma cutter, and a plasma cutter literally just being a fucking hand cannon. But beyond that, other minor things I hope they add in. I hope they add in new weapons. And the two weapons that, in particular, I'd want them to add in are the Seeker Rifle and the Divot Gun. The Seeker Rifle is self-explanatory. Since it's only a couple years between each game, I'd reckon there'd be some form of variation or iteration of the Seeker Rifle. So I feel that would be easy to add in for like a long-range type of play style. And the Divot Gun's kind of unique because it's a weapon you only see in Extraction as a fully usable weapon, albeit it was relatively weak. But I think it had like a special secondary function of acting like a shotgun. I could be wrong, or a 3-round burst. And you see it as an inanimate object that some survivors use to blast their frickin' head off. And I feel there's some ways you can probably make it work. I had the idea in my head years ago about maybe having like a 3-round burst or a full auto option, or a charge shot maybe, and the Divot Gun can just basically be like the 9mm option in Dead Space 2. It could be the Rivet Gun equivalent. Relatively low power, lots of ammo, and no doubt if you have like a good shot, you could probably still tear the fucking limbs off of necromorphs easily with the fucking Divot Gun stasis combo. But the only reason why I'm suggesting these is that, with the addition of Dead Space 2 and then later Dead Space 3, there was more focus on military weapons. So it'd be nice if they just added a couple of extra military weapons for Dead Space 1, even though they seem kind of weak against the necromorphs. Yeah, the Seeker Rifle's definitely fucking weak. But, I don't know. I just feel like, the Divot Gun deserves some spotlight to shine because, I just kind of like the design of it. It looks kind of cool. And from there, this is kind of like a personal, a personal thing for me because I was looking at some fan art for the EVA suit from Dead Space 3, and I saw someone do a rendition of it on the Dead Space Reddit. His name is N7 Legion, and my god, that suit looks fucking awesome. Just the fucking detail to it. Even one of my coworkers at work, when I showed it to him, and I compared it, like, this suit to, like, the Riot suit or another suit, the engineering suit from Dead Space 1, he was just kind of like, yeah, that EVA suit's fucking hot. And I kind of agree with him, like, that fucking detail, like, it actually looks like a normal space suit. Like, I don't understand it. It's just, when I played Dead Space 3, I hated the EVA suit. But then as time just went on, I kind of, like, appreciated the aesthetics of it, of how simple it was, and how it, as they said on the Wikipedia, it looks like an actual extracurricular activity suit. So I kind of hope for Dead Space 1 they have some call forwards and they have some, like, extra suits in the game. And I don't know how many suits you can easily add into it, since I don't know how many years it is after Dead Space 2 going to Dead Space 3. I don't know, like, if there's, like, certain years for these suits being made. But obviously you can throw in, like, the vintage suit, since that's, like, a couple hundred years old. Or because there's a couple years difference, give us a security suit as an unlockable. Like, add in those actual unlockable rewards. I'd honestly be fucking impressed if, like, you can beat the game on higher difficulty levels and you could just unlock extra suits from the later parts of the game. Maybe they have some extra benefits. One of the cool things about the EVA suit was that, it felt like a suit you would use in space. So maybe that could have an added benefit of, having extra oxygen for those zero-G moments, even though the game itself will probably give you more than enough time to fucking do it. And maybe the riot suit will give you extra protection towards melee attacks, since that feels like something you would have to use up close and personal for the Necromorphs. But, beyond that, I mean, I don't really know what else they should add in, because it looks like they're using the movement mechanics from Dead Space 2, or like improving the movement ability a little bit more, so we don't have to worry about Isaac being like very agile limited. But my only other hope is that even though they said they were changing some areas, I really do hope that the story is more or less the same beat by beat. Obviously, there could be some variations, but I just hope like the beginning, the middle, and the end are more or less the same. I hope they do something similar to Resident Evil 2 remake to an extent, or God forbid, Destroy All Humans remake, as opposed to Final Fantasy VII reimagining, because Dead Space is like kind of one of those old games that I have a fond memory of. It was one of the first. It was one of the first couple of PlayStation 3 games that I played when I first got a PS3. Like I vividly remember waking up 5 or 6 in the morning as the sun was rising. It was, I guess, a couple weeks before summer vacation was over, and I think I was starting high school. And I just fucking booted up Dead Space right then, right there, and I had myself a ball. Not to mention, I think it was one of the few games that encouraged me. Not necessarily encouraged, but it was one of the first games where I actually pushed myself to play a game on a harder difficulty level for a reward. Because I beat the game on the hardest difficulty level to get the fucking platinum for it. It was one of my first few games that I actually fucking platinumed. When I used to be a trophy hunter, now I'm just kind of like semi-retired because I'm like, yeah. If I'm doing my trophy hunting, I'm doing that shit on the PS5. 60 FPS and faster load times, baby. But, yeah, I really do hope this remake does a good job. Sadly, I probably won't be able to fucking buy it with how it's looking. But beyond that, I mean, my needs are simple. Just keep the game exactly the way it is, add in some extra DLC, like the DLC outfits, and hopefully just add a couple new weapons beyond that. I mean, the original Dead Space was just perfect as is. I don't really, like, see any other additions. Like, I know I talk about gameplay what ifs for a bunch of games, or for a couple for that matter. But Dead Space is just kind of like Resident Evil 4. It's just one of those games where it's just perfect as is. It does the fucking job well. And I can't really see just anything being added in to improve the fucking game besides maybe a couple of mods that add in some new outfits or to add in the DLC. But beyond that, to me, Dead Space is just perfect. It's just fucking glorious. So, that's pretty much it. That another day of ramblings from a typical gaming nerd. Usual chant: like, dislike, comment, subscribe. Let me know how you feel about the upcoming Dead Space remake. Your hopes and fears, so to speak. What you might want to see in it, and yeah, the manager is clocking out. Catch you on the flip flop. Bye.